And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Deeper Dive, Tuesday, December 23rd. 14 games today, 11 on the DraftKings main slate. There is plenty of basketball to go around. We're going to try and talk about as much of it as we possibly can over the next hour, and then we'll give way to live before lock and buckle up for those guys because there's still a bunch of news that we have to wait on for this slate. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get any weird pieces as this day goes on. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow us both on Twitter. I would be at Josh Engleman, and this would be at Chris Spags. What's going on, man? Fun slate.
I'm glad I get to be here. Christmas has come early. I get to do a show with you here before we, call off the dogs a little bit for the holidays. But it's a fun slate. I think there's, not a lot of days you get to play Tyler Kolik coming back to the motherland of Minnesota. I don't know if he's from Minnesota, but he's a white guy, bunch of white people there. So he'll be feeling right at home there, starting presumably for Jalen Brunson. But not a lot of value besides that on the slate, but definitely some consolidated ownership. The sim really giving you a pretty concentrated player pool as well. So I'm curious to see how the slate goes because I feel like today kind of get the vibes of like senioritis is what I said in my Discord. It feels like people that don't want to play today, they're kind of ready to tune out for, and it wouldn't shock you if we get some late scratches, things like that. Maybe even guys getting hurt during warmups, the thing that we all love the most.
Providence, Rhode Island, birthplace of Tyler Kolik.
Oh, well, Minnesota, Rhode Island, they're neighbors, right? I think they go right next to each other.
More or less. They're not a state that I go to all that frequently, although I have enjoyed my time in Rhode Island. Minnesota, I can't imagine I'm going to be getting to anytime soon. Sorry, Jake.
State fair? That'd be fun.
I guess. I'd rather go to a state fair in like a nice place. They have, every state has one. Well, we could just go to a state you want to go to. It doesn't have to be Minnesota.
Minnesota's is famous. They originated fried butter and fried Oreos and all. I gotta give them credit for that.
Don't worry, the South has adopted that with open arms. The fairs down here are a disgusting sign of humanity.
The beauty of humanity.
Who doesn't like fried butter, though? Yeah. Who doesn't like Tyler Kolik today?
Yeah, I would gobble him up like fried butter.
Pause. 3,800 point guard only. No Brunson, no Anunoby, no McBride, and the other 10 dudes that have been out for this Knicks team. I don't know how to get away from this one. This seems like the easiest button to click. He's in everything I'm doing. He's 70% owned, and I think he deserves every bit of it. Tough for this one to fail, save for injury.
Yeah, it'd be nice if you were 3K minimum. So, you feel the full weight of the opportunity there. Brandon Carlson yesterday didn't do the best in the world, but it was nice to have that 3K minimum salary starter on a slate. Kolik's been good. I've played him in a lot of spots lately. The NBA Cup, feel like not a lot of people are paying a ton of NBA DFS attention, but he did have a couple nice games during the Cup as well. So to see him get the full run out today with no Brunson, all that usage gone, and Anunoby gone as well, definitely ways that Cat can go off or something if the revenge narrative is particularly striking somebody's fancy out there. But I think even if that happens, Kolik probably still creating some assists, still hitting a few shots, still getting a few steals. He's a pretty nice little player. I think he gives some of the best backup point guard vibes out there in terms of his efficiency and all that. So to see him start, hard to fade him.
Yeah, no Yabu, no Brunson, no Shamet, no McBride, no Anunoby for the Knicks. No Jaden McDaniels on the opposite side for Minnesota. We'll deal with that in a bit. One other guy on the slate is pulling massive ownership. That is $9,700 Jaylen Johnson, 55% owned, similar optimal rate. Atlanta taking on Chicago. Trae Young in for this one. Dyson Daniels out. But I think, based on what I can see, the real appeal for this game is the fact that it has a 253-point total. What in the world are we getting here? This game is 34 points. Sorry, we'll go 35. 35 points higher than the lowest total game today, which is 60 fantasy points. That's insane. I get why everybody's going to Jaylen Johnson. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm getting him, above the field right now. I think 64% is what I'm at right now. The most recent run I have, actually, that's with the stochastic data without my projections. With my projections overlaid on it, I think I might have gotten him a little bit more. I got him at 79% and the field's at 57. So I feel okay about that number. I mean, it's tough. A slate of this size, it's really a monster slate. You do have a lot of pay up options that you can go to. And I do feel like if you're playing, Kolik, Jaylen Johnson, Khalil Wear, Cam Spencer, all these guys look like, to me, like, core plays. You are putting yourself on sort of a well-trodden road, it feels like, on the slates. That's the biggest critique I would give. But Jaylen Johnson's averaged 1.55 fantasy points a minute this year without Dyson Daniels, without Porzingis. That's over 500 possessions as well. So not the 1,000 possessions we're looking for the rates to fully be stable, but enough to, I think, have a decent read on it. And Jaylen Johnson, I under 10K with guys missing in that total, I just feel like it's kind of an easy click. So I'm willing to be there. I definitely feel like, and I'm sure, you can point it out too. I don't know if you have any other favorites in that range, but like you have a bunch of guys in that 9K range. Even if, just going to Jokic too, like you're probably not playing Jaylen Johnson and Jokic together. So I think there are other constructions that can work, but being with field above it, I really don't have an issue with it.
So I'm above the field as well. I think he looks fantastic. There is one piece of that game that's really weird to me. This is like, I probably shouldn't even be hitting on this, but I will. There's another pay up in that game that looks really interesting to me for what it is. Josh Giddey's 4% owned. Like, do I like Josh Giddey? Very rarely. I certainly don't like him as a real life player. 9,100 now that this team is like fully healthy, basically, isn't fun. This game still has a 253 point total, and it should be relatively competitive. The lack of ownership on Giddy in a game where it just seems like all of these fantasy points are just growing on trees and anybody can pick them whenever they want. I'd like to have a lot more of Josh Giddy given what this slate looks like.
I think it's a fair point. I thought for a second you were going to say Trae Young, and I was curious if that was going to be your angle of getting some leverage against Jaylen Johnson directly with a guy who used to be the star of the team and now seems like at best a second banana, if not a guy on his way out of Atlanta, perhaps. But I'm with you. Like Giddy makes sense. I mean, we just saw Charlotte, I think, have kind of comparable performances from guys that can add rebounds, assists, and points like Giddy can do to get to that triple-double upside. So projection wise, I'm not there on Giddy. I think with the Bulls at mostly full strength at this point, a little bit hard to get there. But I think in terms of just the ownership, stacking these guys together, you could probably make that work. But certainly in the same game, like you're right, like Giddy can outscore Jaylen Johnson at 1/10 of the ownership, if not less.
Yeah, let's see. We have Jaylen Johnson projected for, where the hell did he go? Am I stupid? There he is. 36.95 minutes, 57-ish fantasy points. Giddy, 31 minutes, 45 fantasy points. So he is miles behind Jaylen Johnson. But I also think that 31 minutes could be 34 or 35 in a competitive game. And if I'm going to have that much Jaylen Johnson, I don't mind bringing Giddy or something along for the ride on the Chicago end. But after those two guys, Kolik and Jaylen Johnson, that's where we start to get into like slightly different tiers in ownership, and we start to bunch in a little bit more. Cam Spencer, Khalil Wear, Kyle Filipowski, and let's just say Taylor Hendricks and Karl Anthony Towns are all from like 25 to 35% owned. Unique information on all of those dudes. So I'm just going to pose you that group of 5 guys right now. Is there a guy you like more than everybody else? Is there a guy you like less than everybody else?
I'm getting more than the field. Like, it's really like, usually I have a few plays in terms of my core that are different from what Stochastic gives you straight out of the box. I'm like as closely aligned projection wise today, I think, than I have been at any point lately, which, it's scary for maybe you guys out there, but I think for me, it's a little bit reassuring, I guess, to be this in on guys that are similar. The Cam Spencer, I'm getting above the field. Stochastic in the sim I just ran, I got 58% in the top 150. Before the show with my projections, got him at 55%. So like I'm right there. Projection looks great. I mean, I have a little bit higher at 38.5 fantasy points. Stochastic has him at 38 rounded up. It's a really good number for Cam Spencer. And really, you have no Morant. You have no Vince Williams. So like 2 of your lead ball handlers, still no Small, still no Pippen, all those guys. There's a lot of opportunity for Cam Spencer, and he's produced pretty well in these spots. He's shot incredibly well in the air. Oh, somebody out.
Ryan Kalkbrenner out.
Oh, Diabate, back to that then.
Yeah, not a lot of centers left on Charlotte right now. One thing I want to add that you just said that there's no reason you should have noticed this in any way. Javon Small is actually questionable for today.
Is he? Oh, okay. I thought he was out on one of the first reports of the day, so I must have misread that.
I didn't know it either until like 2 hours ago, and I was just like, "Oh shit, random dude back, maybe." So whether or not he plays is like, who knows? He's been out for ages, but he is questionable right now.
That is something that does hurt Cam Spencer a little bit, just because having any option to pivot away from him is not great. If you got Cedric Coward out, but small played, I think then that'd be kind of coming out in the wash. But Cam Spencer, I think looks good, but that's a good call out because I actually took small to my data because I really thought he was listed as out this morning, but maybe not.
Let's see, where is it?
Yeah. I see him as a Q tag now,
small.
but I thought because I update my stuff usually like 10 a.m. and I could have sworn he was out on the first report that came out.
Well, let's talk through this Charlotte thing now because they get to face the Wizards. Ryan Kalkbrenner out. No ownership was coming into Charlotte, but now Plumlee out, Kalkbrenner out. Musa Diabate is going to play realistically as many minutes as he can before he fouls out or is too tired, which should be, no less than 27 if there's no foul trouble and upwards of 30 if all works out. And then they don't have anybody behind him. It's Tijan Salon. It's going small with Miles Bridges, whatever. Musa Diabate just went from a guy you didn't think about on this slate in any way to one of the better plays of the day.
Yeah, he was somebody that I was really stoked to play yesterday, and then we got the Plumlee start, and it threw me off a little bit where I knocked him down to 20% ownership, which ended up being like basically with the field. He ended up going nuts in that game, killed it versus Cleveland. I mean, he's been a good producer. I think the production started to tail down a little bit for him lately, but still hovering around 1 fantasy point per minute on the year. And really the big thing is, like you mentioned, there's just no centers available, and they're facing Washington, so you kind of get the double whammy of, increased pace plus bad team plus easy shots at the rim. So Diabate now at 4,100, I feel like he and Kolik are like your first 2 plays in, and then you're just going to rotate guys around that.
Yeah, I just, to like get a look at it quickly, I gave him 27 minutes. Feels about right. If it were 26, I'm not going to be brokenhearted or anything. I don't think it's going to matter all that much given the fact that he's 4,100. My assumption is that he just becomes, like, if we want to look at it from a value perspective, Tyler Kolik is going to be likely the number 1 point per dollar play of the day. He could catch Hendricks here at 2, just from the playing time perspective. And after that, I don't think there's going to be anybody on his corner. I think he's just going to naturally look like one of, if not the second best point per dollar play on the slate. I've got him number 2.
Yeah, I mean, when Collier this morning looked pretty good as a value just because there wasn't that second value to go with Kolik. But now, Diabate starting, he's been a good producer. I mean, earlier in the year, he's putting up like 1.1, 1.2 fantasy points a minute, and, that's tailed off. But against Washington, I think there's no reason to think he can't get back to that. I think Diabate, I would still favor Kolik as a play because he is a little bit cheaper and no foul issues, no risk really on that level for Kolik at all, theoretically. There's some for Diabate, I guess, but Diabate with no centers. Hard to argue that.
Yeah, he's going to be 50% owned, 60% owned, something like that. VJ Edgecombe out.
Here we go.
Here they come. Quentin Grimes out. Are you going to be okay? Do you need to take a second? Dominic Barlow out.
Oh, shit.
We just got the full barrel of 76ers. Let me pull that up so I can show you guys what we were waiting on for Philly and what just happened. Nope, not searching for Dr. Phil. I don't even know how I managed to do that. So
you're just always looking for Dr. Phil in some level.
Heading into this injury report, Joel Embiid was probable. Edgecombe, Grimes, and Barlow were all questionable. They're now all out. So Philly just carved out like a free 80 minutes to go around. Only Embiid was getting any sort of love before. Now this game looks like shit. It's at a 219 total. Reminder that I just mentioned 253 for Atlanta and Chicago. How do you want to deal with this Philadelphia 76ers team now?
I mean, I definitely would like to see the minutes here because I'm not even sure how this is possibly going to get assessed. Would think that right away, Paul George will look closer to playable. I think he was not too far off at his price tag, but taking away some of that wing production, maybe giving him 1 minute more, I suppose, in the projection will help out a little bit there. Going through the Wowie real fast, see if anybody takes any appreciable jumps up. I think Maxey, Embiid, George all looking incrementally better would be the main thing. I guess Jabari Walker should play some more minutes. I mean, no, Edwards probably gets minutes over those guys because you have to fill the forward spot. McCain
Jared
and Edwards.
Hey, man.
Yeah, McCain and Edwards get the most, I would guess. I don't think those guys are going to be good plays, though.
I mean, realistically, man, these guys need, like, I just immediately typed in 28 for McCain, 28 for Edwards, 24 for Jabari Walker. I still have 41 minutes to give out to the rest of these guys. Like, those guys just have to get that time. And then it starts going to, like, I don't know what they're going to do here.
Some weird rates too for these guys, and it's real small sample size with Edgecombe, Grimes, and Oubre off the court this year because at least one of them's been available at some point this season. But Maxey, 135 possessions, has had averaged 1.9 DK points per minute. Obviously, the small sample size possible, but he's really absorbed every shot, it seems like, and assist with those guys out. But Paul George at 1.35, again, even less possessions at 50. I think the big three look good. I don't trust McCain. McCain's expensive.
Is he really? I just assumed he wasn't. 4,400
for him?
Well, let's think about it here for a second. Let's go salary. That's not set up right. Never mind. Let's look at that salary range here and comp him to whatever else is around. So, is there anybody around him that actually, like, how do you feel about comparing him to Isaiah Collier now?
That was the first one that came to mind to me. I think it's going to be close, but if I had to guess, Collier now gets less ownership. And I think I'm going to have Collier like around 25 and change and McCain around 25 and change, if that.
Yeah, none of these guys really jumped as high as I expected them to.
See?
Interesting. I think, honestly, Justin Edwards might be the most interesting Sixer. 3,100, small forward only. Not saying it because I think he's like a good per minute dude or anything, because he's not. But that position and price, stepping into 24 minutes at a minimum, upwards of 30, depending on how this game is going. I think that's probably the most interesting Philly piece to me now.
Yeah, I think Edwards taking away from the Hendricks ownership a little bit, no matter what, seems likely. Yeah, I agree. Like, at least he's cheap. Like, I just don't think McCain, people like 4,400 in the chat. Like, yeah, I guess on paper that's cheap. For like McCain and how he's played, I would like to see him be 4K, if not less, to really want to go there. But 3,100, Justin Edwards, probably playing high 20s minutes. That could do something.
I mean, Jabari Walker is there too. Same positional eligibility plus the power forward. $200 more expensive. Both of those guys now to me are very interesting. Just there's so many minutes to go around in Philly, and they are generally loath to play Kyle Lowry, Hunter Salas. Broom barely gets run. Like, Eric Gordon's going to do something today, but they're going to lean on these guys a bit. Does this make you like Paul George or Embiid more by any chance?
I think that Paul George will come up more for me for sure. Just the way that my projections work is that if that wing production disappears, George is going to get some of that flowing his way. And Embiid too, like, it did stand out to me that he's only 7% expected owned today going against Brooklyn, which is not a spot we're super worried about. Like, I've been low on Embiid projection wise this year just because he really hasn't, had super outlier performances in the per 100 numbers or his rates compared to how he's been historically, especially. But I think in this spot, if he's going to be 7% owned, like, doesn't kill you to get 10. I mean, even 20 of Embiid, and just hope that you get the 50, 60 fantasy point guy today. I think in this kind of matchup where you're down a few guys and you're playing Brooklyn, if you're ever going to get old Embiid, this is probably it.
So what are you getting? Let's go that direction now. Because of how big this slate is, I think it's just more interesting to talk about the things we like and or the things that we like desperately don't like, because the middle of all of that is huge and tough to talk about. So who are you getting that's that you're taking a bit of a stand on? Where are you leveraging yourself the most?
So right now, and yeah, this is again before everything having updated here.
Sure.
Getting the most Jaylen Johnson was getting 79% of him. Cam Spencer was getting 53% of him. Kolik was getting at 99%. So basically in everything.
No.
Kevin Porter Jr., a lot of guys in the Kevin Porter Jr. tier at 20%. And then I was also getting Towns and Filipowski at 41 and 48. I don't think those guys are going to be negatively impacted by this. I think they might come up a little bit for me.
Yeah, I was quite a bit over the field on Towns, quite a bit over the field on Bobby Portis. Decent enough stand on Nikola Vucevic right now, 6,300, just 12% owned. Just another guy where it's just like, yeah, I'd like to have more of this stupid 253 point total game. I don't have any other real big stands right now that stand out to me. I'm oddly light on Keontae George, who I recommended as a contrarian option for King of the Court tonight. Do you have a King of the Court option for tonight?
Yeah, somebody had asked me. I mean, Jokic is obviously the chalk. So if you want to just take the chalk and split it a million ways, I think the chalk for a good reason. But like to me, Jaylen Johnson and Reeves, I think a little bit more appealing. I didn't go as far down in my brain as Keontae George, but I do like him generally when Markkanen is out. But I think Jaylen Johnson, I guess Reeves would be the one that's probably a little more contrarian for me because it doesn't seem like people want to play Reeves today.
I'm pulling mine up right now to see. Nope, that's Prize Picks, not the right one. I have my updated probabilities for King of the Court right now. Jaylen Johnson, number 2. 20% chance of being a top 3 option for today. Denny took a big climb once Jeremy Grant got ruled out. Austin Reeves, number 10.
I've got him higher than that. I've got Avdia, like Denny. I didn't think of because he did take a big jump up for me too. He's my number 3 guy. Yeah, Reeves came down a little bit too for me. I've got him now at 40.2 PRAs. I had him higher, but I think Stochastic might have taken a minute or two away.
I ended up going with Alperen Şengün as my actual option. He's currently sitting at 18th for me. So off the beaten path, I hope. It's the plan at least. But love King of the Court, man. If you use the King of the Court play on DraftKings and your play, whoever you picked, if they are in one of the top 3 guys in PRA today, you split $1 million in bonus bets with however many people used that guy as well. So, if you get it with one of these down the line guys, like the 1% chance it's Jabari Smith, you're going to get a lot of bonus bets. If you get it with Jokic, you're going to get bonus bets. It's just not going to be a lot of them. But it's a fun deal on DraftKings right now. I love that little gimmick. All right. Let's talk about the pay up options on the slate for today, because I think it's a bit unique. Let me filter out some of these zeros. So Nikola Jokic, $12,700. Taking on the Mavs, clearly the most expensive guy on today's slate, clearly the highest projected guy on this slate. None of these things are really all that close. SGA against San Antonio at 10-8, unowned. Wemby at 10-3 against OKC, unowned for more than one reason. Maxey, unowned. I guess a little bit more interesting with all these bodies out. We've already touched on Jaylen Johnson. You've got Donovan Mitchell, LeBron, AD, Anthony Edwards, Josh Giddy, and Trae Young, all in the 9K range. Most of these guys aren't getting any ownership. Do any of them interest you?
I mean, I think Jokic is the most appealing overall. Just, a slate like yesterday where he's going to be 50% owned. I just don't see the reason in like going nuts and jamming him over that, because like you want to see at that point the field's going to be there. What the other pay up options could do and all of that. A slate like this one, if he's going to be 10 to 15% owned, I think this is where you maybe get a little bit more Jokic. And if I have 25% right now in the sim before the show, I was getting 26% of Jokic. Like, I think it's a pretty good number to get to. If I had 33, even though I got to 50 today, I wouldn't be mad at it just because I think he has the biggest ceiling. And I think to me, you want to play Jokic on the slates where people just aren't playing him everywhere. And then hope you get that to be the 80 fantasy point day. And it could be any day, obviously, but against Dallas, I mean, why not? But Jaylen Johnson, to me, he and Jokic really defining the most of my pay up option ownership. I think Mitchell would be a lot more appealing if we got Garland out. Obviously, I think he would take like a maxi kind of rise up for whatever he's going to get for the Sixers being out. But those guys, I think the most appealing. I'm out on Ant today, really both Ants, Anthony Davis and Anthony Edwards. And I think your Giddy point was good, but I just didn't get there. I only have 1% exposure right now.
Yeah, I think Giddy's my guy in this list. There's obviously some intrigue for me in LeBron, but with Reeves back, like Reeves at 8,900 is at least intriguing to me with no Luka around. I have a hard time wanting to get to SGA, but like he's one of those guys where anything I ever get of Shea, I'm totally happy to have because he's awesome. Maxi's someone that I hadn't considered all day, and I think this game environment probably keeps me from getting there. It's going to be tough for me to get to him over Giddy, just for how different those games are. But missing all those bodies is at least a little intriguing to me for Maxi. It didn't cross my mind to go to Anthony Davis on a back-to-back today in any way, but I guess he's still Anthony Davis.
He was great yesterday. He's the
Awful.
most AD.
Yeah.
That
one seems like a tough sell today. And he's getting ownership. Like he's 13% owned. I assume on our next update, he's more owned than Nikola Jokic because you can keep playing Anthony Davis with Musa Diabate. You play him less naturally with Nikola Jokic. So I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony Davis is the second most popular pay up on our next update.
We did just get projections in, by the way, so ownership, I'm sure, will be shortly.
Huzzah. There it is. That's what I like to hear. Okay, so 526 projections update. Ownership should be coming in right after that. I am going to have to switch to a different screen. Hopefully there it is. Guys, the promo code is GIFT. 'Tis the holiday season. Do you want to sign up at Stochastic and get the Sims? If you do, it's very easy to do so. There is a link in the description of this video. You will get 20% off any DFS package you pick. You want NBA specifically, week or month, it's 20% off with the promo code GIFT. You want just NFL, week, month, core, max, it's 20% off with the promo code GIFT. Maybe you want all access. You want to be able to cover yourself against basketball, against football, MMA, which isn't really here right now, but that's besides the point. We have it. Golf, when it's around, we have it. Projections and ownership for NHL. If you want the all access package, it's 20% off with the promo code GIFT. This is going to end around Christmas, guys. This is what it's here for. Wanted to have a little bit of a deal for you guys, and we wanted to make sure that it hit everything. So whatever you were looking for on the Stochastic side, if you wanted to come in, that package is 20% off with the promo code GIFT. Oh, we're back. That worked out better than I thought it was going to be for clicking on different screens.
Yeah, you were really efficient bringing us all back. Also, this projection on Diabate, oof. Yeah, I got a fat projection on Diabate.
Let's take a peek. Musa Diabate, now the most owned player on the slate at 70%, higher than Tyler Kolik at 66. We went 31 minutes for Musa Diabate here. That feels a little high to me. It also doesn't really matter. Whether it's 30.9 or 29.9 or 28.9, Musa Diabate and Tyler Kolik are the top two plays today by a mile when it comes to just being able to put guys in a lineup and get whatever you want after it. So I don't want to quibble on semantics here. And we'll obviously be tweaking this as more data comes in. You see the betting markets update that will help to inform our decisions. But either way, he is going to be massively owned. The other piece that I think we should mention is the guy that I mentioned, Justin Edwards, 3,100, small forward eligible, 29% owned, the fifth highest mark on today's slate. When I see that, it's not that I don't like Justin Edwards, because I think the value is absolutely there. Embiid is 9%. McCain is 7%. I think there's a pretty obvious different dude to get to for Philly. We went 21 minutes to Jabari Walker. He's 1% owned. We went 27.5 to Justin Edwards. He's 30. Like those guys aren't, even if we just say like 15x owned dudes. I like Jabari Walker so much more than Justin Edwards if Edwards is getting the ownership.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I don't know that you need either guy really on the slate at this point. Like if you get him, I don't think I'd kick him out of lineups, but I don't think Edwards is going to be, I assume for me, I don't think he's going to be popping in every lineup because I only have him for like 19.5. But yeah, like I think that's fair. Pivot on the same team. Good way to jump that third of the field that'll be there if nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, the real concern for me is that this is a 7:00 start. Like, more or less, I'd rather just not have Justin Edwards or Jabari Walker and give myself the opportunity to swap this shit out later in the day. Like, honestly, like McCain is probably the guy that I'm most interested in here because why can't he just go out there and like finally make some threes?
Yeah, I've got him for 24, so he's right in line with Collier.
How is Brooklyn at defending the three? Okay, they don't allow a ton of threes. People get to the rim as frequently as they would like, so probably a little bit of a good sign there for Tyrese Maxey. But yeah, that's the Philly side of this one out. Let's see if there was any other impact to the Charlotte side with the Kalkbrenner into Diabate news. So Musa Diabate is 70% owned. The next highest owned guy on Charlotte's 5. You don't see that all that frequently.
No. And it's also too one of those things where like for Philadelphia, you got the big gainer in Justin Edwards, and then you got like, to me, Embiid, Maxey, Paul George all got over a 5x value safely. For Charlotte, like they're all still not really that playable. It doesn't look like to me. Just Diabate by a massive margin, and nobody else I would have over a 5x on the team.
This is another one of those situations where, like, if this game wasn't at 7:00, I would love the idea of having a bunch of Salon, and like if I have to late swap off of it later, do that just on the off. Like if Diabate picks up 2 quick ones, Tijan Salon is going to be the next guy up to like soak up some of this. He blows, but like Washington blows so much that they'll make Salon look better. It's like if he just got to play G League games, he's going to look a lot better than if he has to play NBA guys all the time. Well, Washington is mostly G League dudes, so. But I'm not going to sneak attack Tijan Salon for a 7:00 start on an 11 gamer. Like I can't even bother.
Do you project fouls like in your data at all?
Yeah.
Okay, so I roughly have him, and mine is like not a super tight projection, but I have him for like 3.5 and change, which feels high. But I think it's one of those spots because it's Washington. Like if he gets in foul trouble, loses a few minutes, as long as it's not persistent foul trouble, I think he still gets there. It's like I'm not like the foul trouble seeing the foul number.
Yeah, I don't.
It's not great.
I'm not worried about Musa Diabate's foul trouble in any way today.
Yeah,
like it just doesn't. If that's the problem today, touche. But the 8x value guy projected, like fuck it, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I love this slate, by the way. It's fun.
It's really clearly defined guys at each position, I feel like, that look particularly strong. And then I think, your point about Giddy, like, I think it's going to be a Giddy type that wins the slate, but like, you have really good power forward plays, really good center plays, really good, I feel like there's at least one quality play at each position. Kolik at guard as well. It just feels like there's a very obvious core here. I know the Sims were giving pretty obvious cores as well in its top ROI lineups.
Yeah, I love thinking about slates like this when you can compare boom scores to ownership, because like a lot of guys are going to be awesome today that are just 1% owned and like mostly irrelevant. Like they don't affect your odds of winning the entire contest because they're so low, but like you're really happy to get those dudes because it makes your life easier. So I look at someone like, who would be a good example? Okongwu and Embiid to a degree, but boom ratings are just typically higher on centers. That's why you see this center list be a little bit more thick. But like, here's one. Kevin Porter Jr. is like 13th in boom rating, but 9% owned right now. He's 8,700. It's tough. He's not the most efficient thing in that price range, but there is still a very big ceiling on Kevin Porter Jr. I know you mentioned him before. Those are the kind of guys that I start to look at here. Brandon Ingram, 9% owned, 30% boom. Josh Hart, Scotty Barnes, both 7% owned, close to 30% booms. Those are the kind of guys you start looking at for tournaments. Like, okay, I built a pretty chalky lineup in the single lineup simulator. How do I get different? Those are the guys that I try to find where it's like, oh, I should swap out whatever for 7% owned Scotty Barnes because he's got a 30% boom rate, and that could be unique. Not that I'm advocating for Scotty Barnes, but like, there's going to be a lot of dudes that just aren't all that owned, and if you like them, today's the day to play them.
And it happens a lot too, where you have the crazy value on a slate where people all immediately file to cram in, like, oh, I gotta get Jokic and Jaylen Johnson together. And that really makes it then a thing where if you get, let's say, 3 or somehow 4 of like the guys above 8K, and then they're all scoring 50, 60 fantasy points. It happens so often on slates. Like people, I think, get a little, and I'm the same way too. People get a little too excited to like just jam in the best players with the value. And in reality, like a slightly more balanced lineup that gives you upside across one more position ends up taking it down. So like, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of potential ways to play it out here as long as the chalk, value stuff that we feel good about hits.
Yeah, like I just took a look at the optimal in the single lineup sim. Kolik, Spencer, Hendricks, Towns, Diabate, Keontae George, Jaylen Johnson, Khalil Wear. Like that all looks like pretty much the strongest plays that you're going to get to. But you can pretty easily like lock 6 or 7 of those guys, and then just set the randomness to like 10% and start seeing what you get. And it's going to wiggle these guys around. That's when you'll start seeing those like your Scotty Barneses, your Brandon Ingrams popping into these kind of lineups. But that's where the optimal sits right now. It's 5:38. We got about 22 minutes to go on the deeper dive before we get out of here. But we're not going anywhere. Live before lock coming up next. And it is a very important live before lock. There's still plenty of news that we need to wait on. You never know if you're going to get any weird late news on a day like today, leading into an actual day off of the NBA. Realistically, 2 days off for the NBA for most of the league. All the shittiest teams clearly know they're not going to be playing on Thursday, or at least that's the plan. I'm pumped for it. Are you more excited for NBA on Christmas or NFL on Christmas?
So the part that sucks is that I think NFL has eaten NBA's lunch the last couple of years, but the NFL schedule this Christmas is awful. Like all the games include at least one team that's not playing for anything or is just like absolute dog shit at this point. Like for Denver KC, you're going to get the third string QB for them who like should not be playing at all for KC. So I would say this year NBA looks better, but I plan to play both. I'm hoping I don't have to swap or anything, but I'm planning to play both.
Yeah, I hate that the NFL like took over Christmas. It's annoying. I loved when it was just like, man. I'm going to fucking sit down today and watch 12 straight hours of NBA games, and they're the best teams in the league playing each other. Now it's just disappearing slowly but surely.
Yeah, but the NBA is making their billions. They're fine. They don't care.
Yeah, they don't mind. They already sold these TV rights. It doesn't matter. The money's already in the account, so to speak. Who the hell haven't we talked about yet that we need to talk about? Because there's 11 games on this DraftKings slate. There's a billion different things going on.
I have one I want to hear your thoughts on that I like tried to squeeze in, but I think we talked over each other. Where are you with Khalil Wear? Because I feel like he's like a key guy for me. I'm not sure how things move around now with Diabate, but he's been awesome and he's been making my lineups lately at like less ownership, and he's just keeps paying off. And he's been a beast with Jovic off. Like Jovic is one of the things that was limiting his minutes meaningfully, and he's not there right now. He's been playing like the best fantasy per minute pace of anybody on the team. But I get the sense you're maybe not high on Wear because you haven't brought him up a ton.
Right around the field prior to this. I assume that's going to do something now that we've got that Diabate news. He was previously essentially like the most owned center. I have no problem with him at all, especially in this matchup, with Toronto being shorthanded in bigs. It's Mamu and not Jakob Poeltl. So they're a little thinner there. 5,900 totally works. I think he's kind of going to get lost in the shuffle a little bit. Like he's down to 25% ownership now. So optimally, I would just maintain the 20% that I had before and go about my business just being with the field now. But I have no issue with Where. I don't have much of a take either direction. I'm right around the field.
Okay. Yeah, I've been really pleased with him lately, and like it, he's been playing at an even higher pace with Hero and Jovic off the court this year, about 1.35 fantasy sports minute. But it jumps out to me that he is like outplaying Bam, and I personally just eye test wise, I just don't feel like Bam is all the way there this year like he has been historically, and Where I think has taken a pretty decent leap. So CMB mega chalk, I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm just gonna be with the field on this. But I think a lot of my lineups will be like Diabate and Where, obviously pending whatever nonsense we get in the next hour and a half.
Prior to all of the news that came out, I was eschewing a bit of that Khalil Wear to get to more Nikola Vucevic at a $400 higher price tag.
He projects well too. I got it.
Yeah, look, it's that stupid Chicago Atlanta game. I mean, they just scored 302 real points 2 days ago or whatever the hell. Like, that's so many fantasy points if they go over their total today. So I like having pieces of that one. But yeah, no problem whatsoever with Where. One team we haven't talked about yet, and we mentioned one of these guys' names in the optimal lineup. The Utah Jazz are without Lauri Markkanen today. They're without Yusuf Nurkic for today. Taylor Hendricks, Keontae George, and Kyle Filipowski are all 20% owned. Isaiah Collier's 15. No real ownership coming in elsewhere. I think Ace Bailey's a little sneaky today.
I mean, on a slate where everybody's playing the other, not too great wing pieces, I think that's totally credible to me to go to Ace Bailey. I mean, I have him a little bit ahead of Taylor Hendricks. I have Hendricks, I think, a little bit overprojected because his rates this year have been kind of high for the small sample size without Markkanen and without, Kessler and Nurkic out there. Yeah, I think Bailey, I get it. I've played Bailey a little bit lately, and he's not my favorite kind of player because he doesn't really do a whole lot besides score points. But he is putting up, 20% usage, and there's more shots to go around for sure with the guys they're missing today. So I don't hate it. I think Hendricks actually is kind of a good play, and I think I'm still going to be with the field even with the value opening up.
Yeah, I had 25% of Taylor Hendricks before this started. Wouldn't be surprised if that dissipates a little bit just because we've created so much value with Musa Diabate. But I just look at Ace Bailey like, well, shit, Memphis isn't very good. And Utah's best player isn't here. Like, every once in a while, this guy's just going to go out there and explore some studio space. Now, I don't think it's ever going to go very well because I don't like Ace Bailey, but a small forward position that's typically difficult to fill. Most importantly for me, I like to have a little bit more of this game just because it's a 9 o'clock start and it makes my life a little bit easier for swaps and stuff. But he's just one guy I look at, another one of those low-owned dudes where it's like, okay, I can see how that works out with Utah being shorthanded. And like, I'm already getting Collier. That's not a thing for me. Terrence Mann, game time decision. Quick, which team is Terrence Mann on?
The Nets.
Okay. Look, sometimes I get my mans mixed up.
It's Trey Mann, Charlotte. Terrence Mann, Nets.
These guys have all been on quite a few teams over the past few years, and now I've scrambled those idiots so much in my head that I have trouble remembering which one's which and which one's where.
Because you hate bad teams, whereas I enjoy the beauty of them. Like Michael Porter Jr., one of my favorite players of the year, because I watch a lot of Nets games. I get him a lot on slates, and he's like good. Like, he's good. I don't know if he's good, can step into a contender again and be like a guy that's going to defend and do enough, but like, he's getting assists, he's rebounding, he's shooting the lights out, he's unafraid to get a shot up. I've enjoyed that experience, but I assume you haven't watched like a minute of Michael Porter Jr.
You would be very mistaken. Thank you very much. I watch more Michael Porter Jr. than I want to. One, we used to watch it semi-regularly because of playback. But two, look, they usually play at 7 o'clock. So like, that's usually one of the, like, I can't watch Charlotte games because I'm blacked out. So like, it's either the Brooklyn Nets or the Wizards that are typically playing at 7 if it's not Charlotte. So I usually see more of Brooklyn than I want to.
Like, okay, so
and I love MPJ. I'm a team MPJ. I'm an MPJ guy.
Yeah, and Claxton too, kind of fun. Like Claxton, if he went to, like, the Warriors apparently hot for him. If you had him running some screen and rolls for like those guys, like, I think he
I don't give a fuck about the 27th best center in the league.
All right, I got you on MPJ. That's fine. I was pushing it by
look. MPJ is awesome. I loved him on the Nuggets. I like him on the Nets. I hope that he gets to a better team at some point in time. But I also don't think that he cares too much because he's got millions of dollars. So I'm sure he's plenty happy hanging out in Brooklyn.
Yeah, he gets a podcast.
Yeah, he's got some interesting takes. That's for sure.
He does.
Look, at least he's right that like 12-year-old Michael Porter Jr. would have beat the brakes off of a WNBA player.
I'm glad that's the one you went with out of all things that he could be right about, because there's some takes
most of the other ones I'm not going to say on this stream. Spags, you and I have learned that lesson the hard way over the past 8 years.
Yeah, so you could say that. You could say that.
You can say, you know, who's one guy that I thought that I was going to have a ton of today or would be popular and isn't in any way? Like Mikal Bridges is 10% owned. He's 6,800. There's no OG Anunoby. There's no Jalen Brunson. There's no McBride. There's no like they're missing a ton of dudes. Mikal Bridges used to like be this Michael Porter Jr. guy who ran an offense as the best player on a team. Now, like it wasn't good or anything, but that was a skill set that was inside Mikal Bridges. In the past, you would have thought, oh, Jalen Brunson's out and this is a shorthanded Knicks team. Like, man, Bridges must get this massive usage rate bump and all of the he's barely a different dude. He I don't know what happened to this guy. In a situation like this, I would have just thought like, oh shit, Bridges is probably hella popular. He's not.
Yeah, I think his really only reason exists is like, oh, the other Knicks are really chalky. This might be a good day to play Mikal Bridges, and that's fine.
Yeah.
He's been okay assisting and he's shooting okay, so at least he's not like a sieve like he was for part of his Knicks stint. So I think for him, I actually view him more positively than I did at other parts of his Knicks career. But I agree, like it seems like his rate should go up more with Anunoby and Brunson out, and the underlying stuff, there's really nothing that says he gets more usage, he creates more. It just seems like it goes to everybody else. And I don't, he can definitely hit it low ownership. I think he does that whenever nobody plays him.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't have a problem. Like he could play 40 minutes today because they're shorthanded. He's just permanently out there. It's not that I don't like him, but like when you take those guys off the floor, like in my mind, he should just have like 7% higher usage and just immediately be like, oh, he's a $6,800 small forward and he's $2,000 too cheap for what he is today. And like I started looking at it and I was like, huh. He's not. He's just Mikal Bridges again today. Nothing happens. It was weird to me. I don't know what this Knicks team is going to look like tonight.
He's just not leading breaks. Like he's not really ripping boards. No. Like he doesn't have the ball in his hands, and then he's not have the ball in his hands. He's out there on the wing. I think. I feel like that happens a lot to guys where it's like, I like this guy, and then he just ends up standing out there in the corner, and that's when you only want the high usage guys. And Bridges is just not that dude at this stage in his career, at least.
And Spags is very familiar with the guys that just stay in the corner.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's a cup joke, ladies and gentlemen. Hit that like button. 10 minutes to go until live before lock. Greg and Eric get here. We'll let you guys figure out which one's more likely to be in the corner. All right, chat, get your questions in. We haven't seen a super chat yet so far. I don't know what you guys are waiting on. Get good questions in. There's still 1,100 of you in the door. Hit the thumbs up. We have plenty of to talk about. Oh, are they going to air me out on that Simone Fontecchio fantasy score line? That's horseshit, Prize Picks. Horseshit. I hit an under on Simone Fontecchio this morning, and it was like 27.5 fantasy points. And I believe they're going to pull that joint from me. Hit that thing at like 10 o'clock in the morning, man. They had hours to take that down. Hours.
Books shouldn't be able to do that. I would agree with you that that's a little bit shitty to do, but whatever.
Oh, it's insane to take that from a card that they accept. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. I'll bitch about it on Twitter. It'll be fun if I smoke the 5-0 and that's the only one that's out there. I'll be like, yo, there should be $1,000 in my account right now. Chop, chop. How long is the 20% deal? Just today. Does that change your outcome? If that means you can't get it, then it's not just today. It's till Christmas. Whatever makes you buy it right now, that's the answer to how long the 20% deal works. Did we cover McCain? Yeah, he's just like an uninteresting dude that scares me, probably. Because realistically, he could play a ton. He has the ability to make a shot, even though he hasn't really shown it this year. 4,400 MPE, 7% owned. I'd like to be more interested in Jared McCain. I don't know. It's not there today.
He's due for positive regression. Like if you're going to say anything about him, 47% true shooting, that's going to get better at some point. Like one of the most obvious guys like for that's been due for positive regression lately was Darius Garland. And you see him like the last couple games clawing back. He's having outlier shooting days. Derek White before that. I don't think that McCain's as good as those guys, but like he's not 47% true shooting bad. So if I'm gonna make, and I'm not a McCain fan, if I'm gonna make a case for him, I think it's a spot where you can claw back some of that shooting a little bit more to the positive end of things.
Let's hope. All right, let's see. Any questions in here? Chauncey Billups says he's playing Edwards and Walker together. That's probably overkill, but I get where you're going with it. Oh, what about Kevin Love? If he mattered, he stopped mattering the moment Musa Diabate happened.
Yeah. You need Diabate to have the classic Jedrick Tatum in The Simpsons congenital heart defect and then not show up, and then maybe Kevin Love can outscore him. But yeah, I don't see that being the case.
Now we got Kevin Love for 15 minutes. We've got Musa Diabate at the same price for twice as many minutes. There it is. Thoughts on Kevin Love tonight? Yeah, I would not play him. Sorry, Langston. You asked that question like the moment we gave you an answer. So poor timing on that one, unfortunately. But yeah, it's just not a. I mean, look, could he go crazy today and play 30 minutes again? Yeah, sure. Why not? Wouldn't surprise me. Utah Jazz are weird. They don't seem to give a shit about anything. I can't trust that.
No, I mean, I'm for
Kevin Huerter good. No on Kevin Huerter. Although if you are going to take a run on like a random guy in one of those games, at least it's in that game.
Kevin Huerter revenge.
Zealous. Game. Yeah. Look, I don't mind getting to anybody that plays for real in Chicago and Atlanta. Like, they're not going to be popular, but whether that's Kobe White, Risa Shea, Vit Krejci to a degree, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, $5,500 Buzelis is 2% owned. I'm playing a couple extra minutes as of late. In this game script, I think that's a very reasonable contrarian option.
I don't like Buzelis today because I think people are going to chase that. And I've seen a few people asking, it's not to poo-poo anybody in the chat for asking the question, but like he just hit like 7 out of 10 threes the other day. Like I think people are like, whoa, he hasn't become a different player. He just kind of ran hot the other day. I guess if you're going to keep it going, it would be in a spot where you have a 254 point, combined total, but I don't see it for Buzelis happening again.
Langston wanted to ask another question. Thoughts on Filipino? Kyle Filipino, one of the more un-Filipino people in the league, Kyle Filipowski. He looks great today, assuming he gets that starting nod, which it seems like he would. Kyle Filipowski is currently projected for 19% ownership. He is 6K. It's a little pricey, but certainly one of the better plays of the day.
Yeah, he goes well in nice balanced builds, I think, where you're, like I like him a lot in those kind of evenly keeled lineups generally.
Kyle Filipino. I hope I don't forget that over the Christmas break. Chat, don't let me forget Kyle Filipino moving forward. I know you guys will remember. My memory is dog shit. Corey Randall. How about Zion? I know he's a walking trauma patient and coming off the bench, but he seems to be motivated lately. Yeah. Currently, Zion Williamson, 7,500, power forward only, 0.9% owned. Don't do it. You need a very specific thing to happen in this one. It's not worth it tonight.
He's too expensive for the role. If he were 6K, then you can get there, but he's deferring. The team is looking better. I don't think they're going to actually be good in the sense that Josh will be happy with them. But I think like they're looking better, and he's talking nicely about Derek Queen. He's saying the right stuff, which for Zion is now half the battle. That doesn't get you DFS points though at his salary.
No, I don't know what New Orleans is doing. They are so severely mismanaged from top to bottom. It's crazy.
Queen's not bad though. Queen's fun.
Yeah, he's interesting. We'll see what that looks like in a couple years.
He's got to get into shape. He's got to get into shape in a major way to be able to defend and do all that stuff.
Biggest dude Spags saw from his chair. You're gonna have to fill me in.
He's one of my splash play regulars, so he's making a cuck chair joke here as well. I don't know if he's saying that he's the biggest dude, but perhaps he can be.
Got it. Also, best shooting guard, $5,200 or less. Jordan Clarkson or Vit Krejci? Realistically, I guess Jared McCain. McCain or Clarkson for me is probably the place I want to be. I mean, Clarkson's going to let it sail today, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't mind Clarkson. KCP is the one that grades out the best for me. But yeah, I've been getting him a lot lately with the Grizzlies missing many gentlemen in that backcourt / wing.
That's fair. I don't think that's crazy either. He's going to be out there. 3 minutes left to go. We don't do a nuke of the night on the deeper dive. That is a live before lock gimmick. So, who is your novel Wuhan coronavirus play of the day? Who is going to ruin lineups?
All right, I got to sort by ownership here because I really do feel good about the chalk today in a way that I don't often feel. Quite as in lockstep. See, I don't think Jaylen Johnson is going to kill anybody today, but I think he's a guy where, like, if you told me he didn't make a winning lineup, I wouldn't be shocked. I'll go Justin Edwards. He's owned enough now, and we talked about it enough. He's a 0.7 fantasy point per minute guy. I get that he's going to make it real easy to cram in a lot of star players. I think you can do okay just playing Diabate, Kolik, whatever other value. Don't go with the chalky Justin Edwards. So I'll go with him, even though I don't think that's a brave take.
I think it's Jaylen Johnson.
Oof.
You just start comparing him to the guys around him. And it's like, would you really be surprised if Maxey and Mitchell and LeBron and AD and SGA, like, it's a lot of ownership. And I get it. The game is awesome. And I'm going to have Jaylen Johnson because he grades out better than all of these dudes. But to me, he's the one that's most likely to sandbag you. Because if he goes for 52 fantasy points, that is a failure today. And that's a great game. So that's the kind of stuff that scares me. I was over the field before. I anticipate being over the field again. But he's my Wuhan coronavirus player of the day.
It's interesting because, like, I still don't think it's like, it wouldn't be a failure if he got 5,200 or whatever, 52 fantasy points. That's not 5,200. If he got 52 fantasy points, like, I don't think he'd be a failure. So I wasn't thinking that would qualify. But, like, I agree that, like, he could get beat out by 3 guys in that range, and then that's where you're just left holding the bag. But, you know, maybe you get him with those guys. I'm with you. I'll still be with the field no matter what. But it is a lot of guys around that range. You can just split that ownership up with.
Spags, we have reached the end of the deeper dive. So there's one thing left to do. Tell the people where to find you.
You can follow me on Twitter at Chris Spags. Check out my content. Search Splash Play on YouTube, and you will find my NFL and NBA content. Tomorrow, plan to do videos for the NFL and NBA Christmas slate. So strap in. The work begins. But pleasure to be with you, Josh. Glad I got to see you before Christmas. Hope it's a happy one for you and your family. And even though you'll be working hard here for the people on Christmas Day.
I assume that is the case. I did thumbs up Greg's request for who can do things, but I don't know if I am officially. It'd be really cool if he told me I wasn't, but I assume that I am.
You are. You would know if you check the schedule. But yes. The schedule is updated. It is going to be me and you on the NBA show, and Eric and Emac are on the NFL show on Thursday. So if you guys want to catch Josh next, that's where you'll be able to find him. Also, tomorrow, it's Christmas Eve. You guys could go, by the way. There's no more use for you. Spags, Josh.
Hos.
Enjoy the Spags.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays, guys.
Happy holidays, everybody.
So for tomorrow, it's Christmas Eve. A lot of guys are going to be off. So I'm just going to do a football show by myself tomorrow morning. And basically, we'll go for as long as you guys feel like watching. So if there's people who are not busy that are like, I have no clue what people are going to be doing tomorrow. I don't know if there's going to be just degens like me who have no friends or family that are just sitting around and be like, there's nothing to gamble on. So I'm just going to go live. We're going to build some lineups out for the Christmas slate for NFL tomorrow. I was thinking about maybe doing something like using the single lineup sims and build out stacks of all of the teams on FanDuel and DraftKings, just seeing which ones sim out the best. But whatever, if you guys
saying
are
this to
interested,
me?
come hang
Like,
out.
you can do whatever you want. You're the boss man. You can do whatever you want. Also, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who want to tune in and watch a little bit of football content. We'll have 5 NBA games, 3 NFL games on Christmas Day. It's going to be a huge day, but get a lot of your prep in on Christmas Eve, because sometimes you have like 15 tyrants that will show up at your house like I have right now. Came back to South Dakota, and you'll lose track of time. I was like, all right, looked at the slate about an hour ago, came back in, and then all of a sudden just pandemonium. It is the holidays, friends. It's the holidays.
And before we get there, we've got today, where there is a big time main slate today. We've got 11 games on FanDuel and DraftKings, and then you've also got the 3-game night slate afterwards. Here's what we're looking at as far as injuries are concerned. We did get the report, for whatever it's worth. Darius Garland is going to, the typical coach speak, warm up with intent to play. He's officially questionable.
So dumb.
I guess that means he's more likely to play than sit, but whatever warm up with intent to play means, it seems to be vernacular that makes it seem like he's more likely to play than not, but who really knows exactly? Wemby, he's also officially questionable. PJ Washington is questionable. Cedric Howard is questionable. We got Jordan Poole questionable. Brandon Williams questionable. For a game, for a slate that is this many games, I'm surprised we don't have more guys on the injury report, Eric.
Yes and no. We do all have a dead day in between on Wednesday, where then Thursday, 5 games. There's a repeat of a game we have going tonight, San Antonio OKC, and yesterday almost every team that played is on a back-to-back. And this is probably one of those spots where some of the teams want to be able to hit eject and take 2 nights off and then come back on the 26th and then just let it rip. But like, it's a long, arduous season for these guys. 82 games. Like, if they want to hit cruise control for a couple, it doesn't completely shock me. And that kind of feels what this is. Like, as you said, not enough guys on the injury report, but like, I think we might see some more moderate minutes in a couple of spots, especially with some of these back-to-backs, than what you might expect.
And we are going to start getting into it now. If you guys are a Stochastic sub and you have any questions for us, hit me up in Discord. I'll be on the lookout for any of your questions that come across. And if you guys do want to sign up for any of the packages we have here at Stochastic, I've got a great offer for you guys, because we do have our Christmas sale now live. So this is going to run from now until Sunday. So until through Sunday, we're going to have this sale going on. 20% off any of our DFS packages with the promo code GIFT. Just check out with the link down below in the YouTube description box. And then when you're going to that sign up page, just simply press the promo code GIFT. And then you guys will be good. What the hell is it? Eric just leaves. What is this? That's the real gift. There we go. What was that?
I don't know. I just disappeared off the screen out of the middle of nowhere. So I brought up another link. But anyway, continue on.
All right. But anyway, yeah, 20%. Any package you guys want, 20% off with that promo code GIFT. Link to sign up down below in the YouTube description box. So let's see. Eric, they're doing some magic acts over there. But let's look at our projected ownership as we get started here. I'm going to make sure there wasn't any changes since we last looked. All right, here's what we got for ownership for the main slate for tonight, Eric. We've got some real condensed chalk here. We've got 3 players that are 60+% owned. Musa Diabate, Tyler Kolik, Jaylen Johnson. Now, Tyler Kolik, we're expecting a bigger role for him with the Knicks being shorthanded. And then you got Musa Diabate. Last night, he was somebody who initially I thought was going to have a lot of lineups, Eric. And then what happens? The starting lineup comes out. It's Plumlee who's starting over Diabate. And what ends up happening? Plumlee gets hurt almost immediately, only plays a few minutes. And then it didn't even matter because Diabate had to play pretty much all the minutes. And then he also finished like 6 steals or something absurd in that game last night. Yeah. So as a result, he got all this ownership going to Diabate. My first question here, do you think the ownership is warranted on all 3 of these guys, Diabate, Kolik, and Jaylen Johnson?
Yes, it's warranted on all 3. I would say the guy that is the easiest to get away from is Jaylen Johnson, just because there's a floor there when you have Trae Young inserted there. But Diabate, Kolik, when you have cheap guys, 4,100, 3,800 respectively, who are going to play 30+ minutes, and it's a better situation. I had talked about it a little bit on NBA Lindy's the other night. I was pretty positive Mason Plumlee was going to start, and I only built one lineup because I was traveling late last night for the red eye. But like, I looked at Mason Plumlee and I was like, I'm not sure that I even like trust playing him in a lineup where I might get stuck in the air and not be able to late swap. And so I was like, all right, I'll just kind of sit with Diabate in that lineup. Ended up working out in a very roundabout way, 3,900. as you said, he had a crazy amount of steals, had a crazy amount of rebounds. He's now got all unlimited minutes. There is no Plumlee today, no Kalkbrenner, no Grant Williams, who apparently is still with this basketball team, even though we haven't seen him play a single game all season long. That means there's no center, really. I mean, you're going to get backup Bridges minutes to some extent at the center position. Tejon Salon can play some 5 as well, so you're going to get both of those idiots.
Give me another pronunciation of the Frenchman there.
I just did it. But
one more time, though, with the accent. Ham it up again.
Tejon Salon.
All right, there we go. The people needed to hear it again.
Been to Paris one time, so shout out me. I feel pretty confident that he's just a really good piece of chalk. Tyler Kolik, really, really good piece of chalk. I mean, we saw him close in the NBA Cup. We've seen him get trusted more and more and more by Mike Brown and this new coaching staff. And, you know, he just continues. It's the same thing with like a Reed Shepherd, where you see these guys start to ascend in this role where you're like, oh, are they ever going to get minutes? And now it's come to fruition. And this is really our first chalk look at Tyler Kolik. I assume he's starting. If he's not starting, hit eject, run for the hills. If it's just Clarkson out there, but everybody's got him projected that way. Those are the 2 pieces I'm the most confident in. And I obviously heard the tail end of that last show. I feel the same way, where Jaylen Johnson is an expensive guy, and expensive guys can always fail relative to expectations if they don't put up the absolute Hulk slam that you need to be optimal. But Diabate and Kolik are so cheap, I'm pretty confident that I'm going to have nearly lock button both.
They're my 2 most rostered players as far as Jaylen Johnson goes. I get a lot of exposure to Jaylen Johnson. He's actually my most rostered spend-up option, Eric, but I am a little bit underweight to the field because he's in half of my lineups and he's projected for 60% ownership. I still got a lot of him, just not quite as much as what the field is projecting for. And then I also want to ask you before we start to get some of these questions that are starting to come in here for us is, do you have a pay-up option you like to pivot to as opposed to playing Jaylen Johnson? Because you and I, we both like Jaylen Johnson to some extent, except I do think it's easier to find high-end pivots off of Jaylen Johnson than it is to find cheap pivots off of Diabate or Tyler Kolik. So if you are not paying up for Jaylen Johnson today, who is your next favorite pay-up option?
Karl Anthony Towns, 8,500. If we're going to call him a pay-up option, anything over 8K, he is definitely it, taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. No Jalen Brunson, revenge spot, if you will, revenge in his heart. He's going to chuck the basketball many, many times in Minnesota tonight. And so, I mean, if you call anything over 8K being kind of like your pivot off of it, otherwise, I kind of have a weird one. I'm not sure what you feel about just playing a lot of LeBron James, but like, there's a way that this works out for you. He's at 1% ownership right now. And no matter what, I know Austin Reeves is in, but like, this is LeBron James and a spot where like, I look at the power forward position specifically. If I just say, all right, Jaylen Johnson isn't in the winning lineup and he's going to be 60% owned, who else at the position do I feel confident about? And people are going to Anthony Davis. I'm worried about the minutes just because of the back-to-back. I know Dallas wants to move him if they can. I know there's a lot of ways that Anthony Davis at like 12, 13% can even be that failure. So as weird as it is, I think my pivot is actually a 1% LeBron James at the same position where I just go down a little bit. Him and Dylan Brooks are going to get into it and probably get ejected, and that'll be really fun. But like, I really, really like LeBron at 1%. And it's weird because this is not something I expected to say an hour ago. But the more I look at the slate, the more I'm like, all right, I'm going to end up with like 20% LeBron, I'm pretty sure.
So I have a couple of lineups with LeBron, which by default has me overweight to the field just because he's so low owned for today. I did post to Tails a same game parlay for tonight, which is a combo of LeBron overs. And we're starting to finally see some signs of aging for him. But I kind of get the sense of this watching LeBron this year. He knows he has a limited amount left in the gas. He's running just about on empty. But he knows the spots where he could floor it if he has to, where he'll preserve the gas when he needs to, but when he has to turn it up a notch, he's capable of doing so. And I think with the team a little bit banged up right now, and keep in mind, even though Austin Reeves is playing, I'm not sure that Austin Reeves is 100% to the point where he was questionable earlier today, where they're going to go out and just have him play, like 40 minutes with a massive usage rate. LeBron's last 3 games, Eric, 38.6% usage, 30.7% usage, 32.2% usage. And those are also his only 3 games of the entire season with a usage rate north of 30%. And they've all come in succession. Also, you look at his numbers this year with Luka off the court. usage rate north of 30%. He's averaging just under 10 rebounds per 36 minutes and also 11 assists per 36 minutes with Luka off the court this year. So kind of what I said before in terms of he has this on-off switch that he's trying to preserve. When Luka has been off the court this year, those have been his moments where he said, hey, the team needs me. I'm going to step up a little bit. So I don't hate that at all.
Yeah. What is it? Do not play LeBron. Guys, we're talking about a 1% LeBron James on this slate. This is an 11 gamer. We're looking at the position itself. And like, if there's a spend up that fails, like Jaylen Johnson at 60%, I want to find kind of guys in that range that could potentially just be a 1-for-1 swap. Cause I like Kolik. I like Diabate. It's not like I'm looking for pivots at point guard and center. And so this is just truly game theory meets the Sims, where I'm able to kind of look at it and say, all right, Jaylen Johnson's a really, really good play, but he is not a must play the way that the other two are because of their price point. So I'm just looking at what the upside can be for LeBron James. I completely agree with you. And yeah, there's not really a whole lot else to add. Do I think he's the best play on planet Earth? Absolutely not. But it's an 11 gamer where if you find that 1 point of deviation, you're in a really good spot. Plus, there's a lot of creation that LeBron James is going to have. I really like DeAndre Ayton as a off the board contrarian play here for today. I bet him in 15.5 points, got a little bit of CLV, it looks like right now at the moment, but like, I just feel pretty confident that LeBron James is one of those guys as we kind of gear up where he's going up against a nemesis, somebody like this, like he's going to play a lot and he's going to play pretty darn well here absent Luka.
And let's see what we have for questions that are coming in. I see. Oh, these aren't questions as much as just some nice testimonials here. Malakar finished second in the 555 last night and a few smaller contests too. Thanks, guys.
Malakar.
Merry Christmas. And also says, yes, I had Diabate. So shout out to Malukar there. And then another one here from our guy, Timothy. So this is Timothy Beachler, aka Screamin' 32555. Yep. He says here he took down the FanDuel quarter last night, plus second in the Yahoo Mini Max. Thanks for the great projections and the great LBL shows. Sims have been fire. So shout out to Timothy. And for anybody who does want to sign up for the tools, like I said before, 20% off any package right now with the promo code GIFT for the holidays. So take advantage of that. That is going to be running through Sunday. Then we've got Tiffany here. Tiffany says, cheers to all the D-Gens. I bet on darts and crickets today. If that's not D-Gen, but wait until tomorrow when you try to find things to bet on. We've got no football. We've got no basketball tomorrow. I know for myself, Eric, I'm going to be starting to look at some African soccer tonight. I don't know what you're planning on betting on, if anything, tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to summon Raza Claus. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find Ben Raza. So I have a 15-minute drive ahead of me to Iowa here at the end of the night, just so I can get all of my Christmas stuff down that I possibly can, because Iowa borders 15 minutes away from me. So I'm here in South Dakota. I can get my Profit no vig stuff down and be very, very happy there. But you best believe my tried and true Christmas tradition, the drive to Grand Falls, because, you know, it's a beautiful scenic place. It's a beautiful scenic place.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm going to ultimately find any value spots that I really like for tomorrow. But to Eric's point, you could best for Ben, this is just a normal sports Wednesday. He's like, what is NBA
Wednesday.
or NFL? He's like, there's Series D Botswana soccer going on. I've got this is normal. So yeah, if you guys do want to get some bets for tomorrow, I certainly do recommend downloading the Tails app and follow Ben Raza, because I don't know what it is that he's going to be betting, but I do know it's something I will have never heard of before. So go ahead and check out Ben on Tails. And then another follow up here from Tiffany, Australian horse racing. All right. Does Jokic have a horse in that race?
I don't know, but I know that I've bet on a lot of Japanese chariot racing in Japan. So yeah, the chariot racing is really, really good stuff. Usually what happens is I like load up my TVG account right around the Kentucky Derby. And then, well, there's extra funds laying around. I just fire it up on Japanese chariot racing. That's good stuff.
Yeah. Tomorrow's going to get weird. I think that's the summation there.
I think so.
Coach DFS, some good leverage pieces today for a GPP on DraftKings. All right. So as far as leverage goes,
there's one.
All right. Hit me with it. Let me know who you're thinking about for leverage.
Just think about what we're getting for ownership on like Anthony Davis. I just keep staring at this Dallas team. Dallas screwed me the one game where there were like 4 Q tags and everybody ended up playing. We have PJ Washington questionable. We have Brandon Williams questionable. Anthony Davis is right now pulling the ownership, and I am not convinced we get like a full workload Anthony Davis on a back-to-back. 35 minutes is the third most he's played in a game this season. He's gotten to 38 and 37. And I was working through it last night, and I'm just kind of like trying to piece together what this rotation looks like. You also have Klay Thompson going to be out for this one, so there's a couple of minutes available there. There has to be something, and the more I come down to it, the more it's just like Ryan Nembhard, Cooper Flagg. Like there are a lot of guys on Dallas that I'm probably going to entertain in large field tournaments for tonight, but as I'm looking at like the $4.20 max, $1.20 max, like what can I do to potentially get a little bit different and backload some of my lineups to some extent for news? I really like the idea of getting away from like a 12, 13% Anthony Davis, which doesn't sound like leverage in its current sense because like it's just an 11 game slate. So like the value is so good with Kolik and Diabate, but pretty much everything else I'm kind of okay getting away from. And you've got leverage both from a positional aspect with Ryan Nembhard up against Cam Spencer and, you know, some other guys that might just be filling out the position at point guard, Keontae George, even though that's just different price points. And then I think about leverage off of Anthony Davis. If I think Anthony Davis is going to be limited, who benefits the most? I believe it's Cooper Flagg.
So for me, looking at the ownership, and let me just recheck this to make sure. Yeah, no update since we last showed it on screen. But we've got three guys who are uber popular, like we talked about at the top of the show. Diabate, Tyler Kolik, Jaylen Johnson. And yeah, it's hardest to get away from Diabate and Kolik. There is one player in the Hawks front court, though, that I am getting myself overweight to the field to. That's Onyeka Okongwu. And right now, he's projected for about 10% ownership, I believe.
No Mo Gay behind him today.
What is it? Okongwu. Yeah, 10% ownership on Okongwu. Let's say that Okongwu just pulls down a couple extra rebounds today. Maybe his usage is up a little bit. I've got 20% of him right now. So I think that there's a scenario where he has a game in a way that could take away from Jaylen Johnson a little bit. So I'll go with Okongwu as a leverage option.
So there's like 3 or 4 guys that I really wanted to ask you about. He is definitely one of them. Mo Gay is out today. Like, does Austin Newell end up playing backup 5? Is this the backup 5 tonight? Because he's a good fantasy producer in general. And I've been kind of working through Atlanta, Chicago. This is a 235.5 total. I tweeted that out at infinity o'clock last night because I just couldn't believe that we had a 253.5 total. Excuse me. I think a Okongwu could play 35, 36 minutes just out of necessity tonight if they don't want to have Austin Newell play 18, 19 minutes. He's not good. He's a good fantasy producer, which, you know, down at the min is always something that you can entertain. But like, I was going to ask you about him. I have another guy we'll ask about on the Indy side when we get up there because, well, I think Indy's starting rotation could look very, very different than what we think. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Okongwu was one of those one of one dudes. Like, I want to make sure my plays look really, really good and have massive upside for minutes and opportunity. And I think he checks both boxes and in the best game environment on the slate by far.
The other thing to point out about today is this is a big slate, 11 games. And the way that the slates are slates are typically cutting off end games, particularly DraftKings this year, we don't see a ton of slates that are this size. So it is worth keeping in mind for you guys that you don't have to go crazy deep dumpster diving for players today. Like, you could roster a guy like Okongwu, who's 10% owned. Even somebody like a LeBron is only 1% owned on this slate. He's a little bit more popular over on FanDuel, but on DraftKings, only 1% owned. So if you think about some of the like really actual good players are 10% owned or even less, like, you don't want to go too crazy and be like, oh, I'm rostering this ETH man off the bench for some kind of team. So just throwing it out there for you guys.
Well, also, there would be a lot of slates. Notice how I didn't say Austin Newell's in play for me. He's projected for 17 and change minutes. He's a good fantasy producer. And yet there's no way that I can entertain him on this slate with unbelievable value, tons of news that can break. And even though I think he's backup 5 today and Jaylen Johnson probably doesn't get a lot of minutes as like a backup 5 there, I think it's a situation where you just can't even roster him at 3,100. So it's kind of a bummer. So it's basically Okongwu for the massive fantasy points, hoping for like a 55 burger or a pass.
All right, let's get to some more of your guys' questions in Discord. We've got Kizuna wants to know Santi Aldama or Paul George as the last man in. All right, so 2 1v1s. One is Aldama or Paul George.
Aldama.
Let's see. That for me will be...
There's more Memphis news that can break our way. Like Cedric Coward's out. You're in a spot where Memphis looks ridiculous.
Yeah, I'll say Aldama. Realistically, kind of neither, though. Neither of them are real priorities for me at the moment. But yeah, Aldama, if it has to be one or the other. Let's
Olivier
see.
Maxence Prosper's the worst. This guy's the absolute worst. Whether it was with Dallas, where he'd just show up and eat up minutes, or like now with Memphis. I had some Santi Aldama yesterday. I'm just like, all right, great. He's going to not play nearly as much. He put up 0 fantasy points in the fourth quarter, complete dud on an underdog card. Everything sucked.
And we've got the next. So the second part to Kizun's question: Josh Hart or Trey Murphy? Josh Hart.
Josh Hart by a lot.
Yeah. So keep in mind, no Jalen Brunson for the Knicks today. That's why we've got Tyler Kolik pulling all this ownership. There's going to be boosts to all the guys on the Knicks who are not Jalen Brunson. He's super high usage guy, does everything for this team. So Tyler Kolik, top value option. And then you can make cases for a lot of other Knicks guys like Karl Anthony Towns or Josh Hart, Bridges to some extent. Although priority ones for me are going to be Karl Anthony Towns and Tyler Kolik. Young Metro Boom and FanDuel GPP plays at each position. Yes. So on the FanDuel side of things, let me pull up my FanDuel lineups. All right. Let's go back and forth here. Point guard super easy. That's going to be Tyler Kolik. He only has point guard eligibility.
Point guard, Kolik. Lock.
At shooting guard. Boy, shooting guard over on FanDuel. I'm going to go another chalk option in Cam Spencer, but I think that is the best option there, especially in a good matchup against Utah.
Yep, definitely Cam Spencer.
And now at small forward, I am going to go here, Eric, with Jake LaRavia, who has a fairly modest ownership at 17%.
Yeah, a lot of things that can break his way too. This is weird. We're in lockstep for the first 3. I'm nervous about what happens next. Also, if Jake LaRavia doesn't start, I don't feel the same way. And there's a chance he doesn't. So pay attention to that.
Cat at power forward for me.
Cat by a lot.
And then center kind of has to be Diabate for me.
Diabate, there's also a lot of these like power forward / center guys that I'm entertaining in a big way on FanDuel.
All right. Thank you for the question, Young Metro Boomin. Our next one is from Tristan. Tristan wants to know thoughts on Mavs if the questionable guys end up sitting for today. So if we go and pull up the Dallas Mavericks, we have for Dallas today, PJ Washington is questionable, Brandon Williams is questionable. And then as far as players who have already been ruled out, Max Christie's out, Klay Thompson's out. So in a world here, Eric, where you mentioned earlier, you think there's a possibility that AD could be rested, or not rested, but play limited minutes in some respects, not where you think he'll play like 15, but just,
right,
maybe not ceiling minutes for him, considering the back-to-back situation. Let's see. I just got a notification. Are we going to be getting, we already knew these ones. We already knew these ones.
They just came back in to be annoying to us. That's great. Cooper Flagg is small forward, 7,400. He's kind of the guy that I've got keyed in. If you look at our ownership on guys, Justin Edwards, he's the one dude at 3,100 pulling any kind of ownership. Small forward's a lot more wide open. It's basically just a punt position. This feels like 2022 NBA DFS, where like you just punted with small forward every damn day. We have Justin Edwards. We have Taylor Hendricks. We have a lot of these small forwards that are kind of our punts. I like in tournaments, not flipping the build because Kolik and Diabate exist and I keep bringing them up, but like it does allow you some flexibility to get different. I think it's small forward, power forward, and move things around. I really like Cooper Flagg 7,400. I put Anthony Davis in at 32 minutes today. I would be a little bit surprised if they like jammed his minutes up, considering all of the talk and obviously where Dallas is in the standings and the trade deadline. And yeah, they're just in a world of hurt in the post Luka Doncic era. But I do think Cooper Flagg, they lucked out beyond lucked out to be able to go get him. He's starting to play a lot better. We're seeing that price tag elevate, but like on a back-to-back with everybody else, I'm a little bit worried about Najee Marshall minutes. I'm a little bit worried about, what happens behind Brandon Williams if he gets ruled out because D'Angelo Russell, Jaden Hardy exist. I'll have a little bit of Ryan Nembhard just because of where his price point is, but like I feel pretty confident Cooper Flagg's playing 35 plus minutes. He is 18 years old. He wants to win Rookie of the Year. It's one of those spots where like there's actually competition around him for now too. And like none of that matters as much as just the opportunity. If you have a semi like 2-3 minutes less than everybody's projecting Anthony Davis and Cooper Flagg at a position where you could just smack it around.
So we were getting the updates as we started talking about it, but I thought we were going to get pertinent updates, but it's just guys who are already, we knew were going to be out are out. And then we found out that PJ Washington is still questionable. So that doesn't really help. So anyway, we're exactly where we started at the top of this. And then we got the not helpful injury report updates, but PJ Washington, Brandon Williams, they're both questionable. What I was going to say, and then the news started to break, so I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't going to be anything added on to this, is with the guys who are already out for Dallas, if there's no PJ Washington and no Brandon Williams, they are very shorthanded today, because then you'd be looking at AD, Cooper Flagg, Najee Marshall, Ryan Nembhard, D'Angelo Russell, Daniel Gafford, who's going to be playing limited minutes, Caleb Martin and Jaden Hardy. They would only have 8 active players in the event that both these guys are ruled out. So if they are going to make it so that Anthony Davis doesn't play like 36 minutes or something like that, I mean, some guy like Ryan Nembhard, I think that he would look really solid. I'd want to see what some of the players they plug into the starting lineup end up being. But like, you can make case for Najee Marshall, because Najee Marshall could have to play massive minutes. So if these guys do get ruled out for Dallas, it's going to create a lot of value on the team, just because they only would have 8 active players, which would have to mean just big minute. Well, I guess they do have Cease and Miles Kelly on the end of the bench too. Yeah. So I guess they could end up playing some minutes, but either way, they'd be shorthanded.
Yeah, they'd be shorthanded. And I think that there's another game like kind of coming up in a later stage there too. I do want to see what ends up happening with Cedric Howard. I think that could create something there. Like GG Jackson could end up being a thing. Santi Aldama could end up being a thing. Like, there's some other guys there. It's an hour after for that Memphis news to some extent, but the game environment's awesome. 242.5 total there. You already got John Morant out, you know, everybody else that's out there, Brandon Clark in the front court, everybody there. Zach Edey's been out for a while. Like, some of these prices still have a place where there's quite a bit of meat on the bone, but like, you just look at the positionality. I think GG Jackson could end up being like an actual thing for me come night's end.
All right. We've got a question here from M Grizzly wants to know anybody who I'm boosting to position for late swap. Yes. So mentioned before, there aren't a crazy amount of guys on the injury report, and Darius Garland questionable. I assume Garland is playing. Wemby also is questionable for today. I assume that he is going to also end up playing, but the spot that we are not sure about is the one we just went over in Dallas. So I do think it makes sense to boost Cooper Flagg as well as Ryan Nembhard for tonight.
Yep, I agree with that. I do think we already have this Utah value. I could swap some of that to GG Jackson if he ends up getting the start. It seems like KCP is somebody that they want coming off the bench. He's been creating a little bit more for them here as well for Memphis. And again, not one of those things I'm completely sold on one way or another, but I can get some of those ultimate punt lineups and go like Jokic plus another stud plus somebody else there and kind of have a nuclear lineup if I go GG Jackson and like the sensible, like there's a lot of these, Taylor Hendricks is pulling what, 20% ownership or something like that. So like these low 3K small forward, power forward guys, I think they're pretty interchangeable. I want to get to some of them, but like the later, the better to some extent. I just like the swappability of it. So guys, I'm boosting, not going crazy, but like I've boosted a couple of guys from that Utah Memphis game.
We got a question here from our guy, Win. He wants to know, is it sharp to pivot off of Kolik? Jordan Poole officially out for it today. He wants to know, is it sharp to pivot off of Kolik and go to Clarkson instead? So I definitely think, and he asked for FanDuel, by the way. Okay. So you got Clarkson at 4K on FanDuel. Clarkson is definitely an option to go to, but I right now have Tyler Kolik in 98% of my FanDuel lineups. So I can't advise you to not play Tyler Kolik. They're both cheap enough that I think it's viable to play both of them together, though. There's added opportunity there with Brunson out.
I would agree. I would agree that both are viable to play together, but I mean, I strongly prefer Kolik. I know the field does as well, but it's not that hard to get lineups in 8 other spots on FanDuel that can look a little bit better. Like, I just like the Kolik side so much more defensively. We know what we're getting with Clarkson relative to Kolik. Kolik's just the markedly better play. If you have a very chalky lineup, like you're playing chalk, and you want to go to one, swap out and go to a little bit of Clarkson there, I get it. He's already popular. He's like nearly 16-17% owned last time I looked. So like, it's fine. But I mean, I'm playing a dozen or so lineups over on FanDuel, and I'm just kind of looking through them. I have 2 Clarkson lineups of 12 right now. And every single one has, both of them have Kolik in them too.
Einstein wants to know, how do we feel about Kevin Porter Jr. today? I like Kevin Porter Jr. as an alternative pay-up option. He's sub 10% owned and showing up in 18% of my top DraftKings lineups right now. So, yeah, massive role for him as long as Giannis has been out. So, Kevin Porter Jr., I know there might be a little bit of sticker shock there. You look at him at $8,700, but his role justifies it. That's
literally what I said with Josh on the show. I think it was yesterday, or when was that? Well, it wasn't yesterday because you filled in for me yesterday. I appreciate you. But it was last Friday or Thursday. We had a show together. And I was like, I'm about to play a lot of KPJ against Toronto at 8,200. And I couldn't believe it. Well, guess what happened? His price tag is up to 8,700. So, I mean, what in the world? He's just got such a ridiculous role. It's like a 35% assist rate every single time out now with the Milwaukee Bucks. Ryan Rollins is now coming off the bench, so they're staggering a little bit there, and he is just getting the entire offense. Nobody thought this was possible. I don't even think Doc Rivers, like your arch nemesis, Glenn Rivers, is probably just there like, wait, I have KPJ running my offense every single night. And he's just like, screw it. Well, guess it's going well. That's his coaching way. So like KPJ, can't believe what he's doing, but massive minutes too, because do they even care? Like it's insane to see 8,700 next to his name and us clicking on it, but it's true.
Yeah, as far as Glenn Rivers goes, I forgot he even exists until you just brought him up. He was my nemesis. I've got many nemesises, but of one of them, the Bucks have been so relevant. We don't even end up bringing them up on this show really with Giannis out all that frequently. Like them as a team, individual players, sure, Ryan Rollins, Kevin Porter Jr., where they end up being popular, but not a massive talking point for us. We've got a few super chats here. So let's answer these outstanding super chats, Eric, and then we'll do the nuke of the night. But starting here with Mitch Williams. Mitch just says, Merry Christmas, Eric and Greg. Eric, my guy, as always, you are Mitch's favorite. So Mitch, thank you very much for the super chat. We appreciate it.
I do look nice in the sweater. You're right.
Miami Mike, best trip ever. Took my mom-in-law to the airport. All right. I won't ask more questions, but hope you enjoyed.
My mother-in-law is cooler than me, so that would be a sad
Most
moment
people
for me.
are. That's the bar is so low. That's like Wee Man saying somebody's taller than him. Oh my God! Look, Eric's camera stopped working again. Sean Carpin 2619 8,700 and down for the forward position best DK play. I think that, let me double check pricing. I think that encapsulates Cat though. Yeah, it does. Karl Anthony Towns at 8,500.
Towns by a lot. MPJ, if you want to, get freaking naughty and you have some Philly pieces. Plus, we just got Jabari Walker starting, which I'm curious to see what happens with my lineups updating for that. I can't imagine it's going to go crazy, but we had him over 20 minutes already without him starting, but we got Barlow out during this show. So, something we'll take a look at here. Again, Jared McCain starting, though, is also a very interesting thing that just happened.
Yeah, so actually we were going to do nuke of the night, but let's hold on that for a second to talk about the 76ers starting lineup that just dropped, because we have Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, Paul George, Jabari Walker, Joel Embiid. Jared McCain, that makes him somebody who I'm interested in rostering. He's $4,400 over on DraftKings. I believe he's 4K flat on FanDuel, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm going to play a ton of him. Tons.
He is, I'm still filtered by the Knicks here, but yeah, I think 4K flat on FanDuel. It is, $4,000 flat. He's going to come up in ownership now, but he's super cheap and you have to think his minutes are a little more secure starting. He's a really strong value option now.
And he's a shooting guard. We can play him at shooting guard. That's a big deal. Cause did we need Jabari Walker? Jabari Walker, 3,300, fine. I'm curious to see where he ends up showing up in the wash, but Justin Edwards was pulling the ownership, and now 3,100, I'll still have a little bit maybe, but there's no doubt that you just filled the position that we have Memphis, Utah, some of these other goobers that are showing up later that are all 3,100, 3,300 at small forward that we can punt with later and wait on news. You can't wait on this one at shooting guard. He's going to be one of the best value pieces. I just put him in for 32 minutes and I'm updating and seeing exactly what happens. But it's Eric Gordon and Kyle Lowry behind him. Think about that. Eric Gordon, Kyle Lowry. You think they're going to play a bunch? I think not. I think not, Greg. And so Jared McCain, he will be TikToking his way into my lineups.
And with that said, it is time for the nuke of the night. All right, Eric. Big slate, 11 games, lots of guys to choose from. Who are you going with for your nuke, though?
I was going to go Jared McCain, and now he's starting, which is just awful. Jared McCain was going to be my nuke. Shooting guard, I can't imagine that he doesn't get crazy ownership now. I'd be very, very surprised. So I'm kind of looking for what I want my pivot piece to be, because I wanted to get some early information on a guy at shooting guard and kind of work through it. So on the fly, oh God, this is so ridiculous that I have to pivot off of this, because like Cam Spencer 6,300 is a good play, really, really good play. You know what? I'm going to stick with it. Jared McCain, now that he's starting, especially, we have got 23 minutes. It's too low. I'll go to the other guy then. If he plays Brandon Williams, if he doesn't, Ryan Nembhard. I'll go kind of a two-pronged nuke, if you will. Brandon Williams has been closing over Ryan Nembhard. Ryan Nembhard, assist rate's been ridiculous, but his minutes have been kind of limited here by Jason Kidd. And we haven't seen him close a lot of spots over Brandon Williams, but now he got dinged up, Brandon Williams did. If he doesn't end up playing, I did end up playing Ryan Nembhard fantasy score. We're going to see a ridiculous opportunity for him here. He played 38 minutes against Utah, 3-4 games previous to it. He can get blowout run. He can put up double doubles. He's 4,300. So yeah, I like Brandon Williams if he ends up playing as kind of a contrarian option, because like they'll just let him rip. But if he ends up out, Ryan Nembhard, co-nuke of the night with Jared McCain.
So same team, different player. Low-key, Joel Embiid's playing 30 plus minutes now, and he's not popular today. We've got Embiid at, what do we got? Embiid is 8K and 8% owned against the Nets for tonight. Joel Embiid, 30 plus minutes, 3 games in a row. They gave him a couple of nights off, and his usage rate has also been crazy high as of late. So in these games, 32.6% usage, 45.9, 32.8. I don't think he's ever going to be the same MVP caliber player, but he's still a really good fantasy producer when he's on the court, Eric. So overall, Joel Embiid is playing 26 minutes per game this year. He's averaging 26.6 fantasy points. As I'm talking, I see you're posting details for Joel Embiid over points. Is there a correlation there, or do you just happen to like it? Who knows? But Joel Embiid, I mean, if he is going to be a guy who's going to be playing 30 to 32 minutes going forward with a usage rate of right around 35%, he should be more expensive than 8K. And he also is not really pulling much ownership. I like getting to Joel Embiid tonight.
Yeah, so I would say this. You're probably the hottest bettor on the planet. I'm close, but I'm a close second for what it's worth. I went through Joel Embiid in depth last night. I thought he was a really appealing 25 plus points ad. And I just looked at his price while you were talking, and we did get Diabate starting, thank God, because I don't know what else they would have done. He's the only one over 6 feet tall in the lineup. That's sarcasm for what it's worth, but you know what I mean. I really wanted to bet Joel Embiid last night. I just couldn't really talk myself into pulling the trigger because I was worried about it. Hearing your confidence in it just reiterates that I was on the right track with that. So sometimes you just need that little help from your friend, and you've helped me in many ways, both physically, spiritually, emotionally, so many different ways. And now financially, hopefully. Joel Embiid, I really like 25 plus points for him now too.
Yeah, Joel Embiid. I mean, also just think of it at 8K, if you got 26 points out of him, he doesn't need to do a whole lot else in terms of the other peripheral stats. And all of a sudden, you've got a pretty good game relative to his price point there. So Joel Embiid, I think he's a good contrarian play for tonight to pay up for. I like trying to find guys who are not Jaylen Johnson to pay up for when we got a lot of good chalk options.
Agreed. And how much Jaylen Johnson did you get, by the way?
I mean, I have to rerun my lineups for the most recent projection, so I'm not going to know exactly for a few minutes here. I'll wait until we get, let's see, do we have, we just got a projections update. Came in at 6:39 Eastern time. So just came in a couple minutes ago. So I'm going to grab that, rerun some lineups in the Sims, and then I'll know what some of my exposures are going to look like. All right, what do we have here next? We've got, oh no, already answered that one. Ace of Spade, Merry Christmas, Greg and Eric. Greg, my guy. Oh, look at this. We got a little bit of competition. We should have Ace of Spade and Mitch do a head-to-head in tiers or something to figure out
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Who's the real guy or something? I don't know. I don't know what we call it. That we could workshop the name a little bit. But Ace of Spade,
we got to work
very
on
much
that.
For the super chat. And we will talk about some tiers here for you. Starting in tier 1, that's Jokic pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, if Jokic is in a tier, isn't he projected for like 10 fantasy points more than anybody else? That seems good. Yeah.
Tier 2, we've got, it's funny. So tier 1 doesn't even have the guy we have projected for the second most fantasy points today. Tier 2 does, however, because tier 2 is Maxey, Jaylen Johnson, Mitchell, Anthony Davis, and Anthony Edwards. Tier 2, Jaylen Johnson.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Tier 3, we've got Josh Giddy, Austin Reeves, Devin Booker, LeBron James, Trae Young. I'm going with LeBron here.
I love the LeBron piece. Again, I like LeBron a lot more than the field does tonight.
Tier 4, Cat, Murray, Kevin Porter Jr., Michael Porter Jr., Scotty Barnes, Julius Randle, Pascal Siakam, Cat for me with Brunson out.
I guess you put KPJ in there, which kind of sounds interesting, but it's still Cat.
Tier 5, we've got Keontae George, De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Bam Adebayo, Brandon Ingram, Jalen Williams, Darius Garland, who is officially questionable, and Jaren Jackson Jr.
George by a lot.
Yeah, Keontae George for me as well. Tier 6, to round it out, we've got Trey Murphy, we've got Miles Bridges, Zion Williamson, Norman Powell, Onyeka Okongwu, Josh Hart, Brandon Miller. That's going to be Josh Hart for me with Brunson out for the Knicks.
Josh Hart too. I'm a little upset with myself that I didn't jump on because I thought there was a chance that they were going to rest OG Anunoby no matter what before Christmas, and then Brunson got added, and I was going to bet a bunch of Josh Hart props like as soon as that dropped, and then they got pulled off the board and whatever. But Josh Hart is definitely the best in that tier.
See what we got next. Ace of Spade, thank you very much for the super chat. We appreciate all of your support. CPA Joe K, is the boom bust tool not coming back? It is right here in the data hub. We've got all the data right here. We just moved it to one place so people don't have to navigate to a bunch of different pages. But yeah, go to the data hub and you'll see all of it here. You'll see the projections, the value, ownership, optimal rate, leverage, standard deviation, boom bust percentages, ceiling, floor. It's all here still.
And if you want to add it to other data that you have, you can export it. So just hit the export button in the top left corner. I do that every single morning. When I wake up, the first thing I do is I export our data into a spreadsheet so I can play around with it and do whatever I want and then figure out, hey, do I like taking a look at stuff? Because again, there is no doubt that news is going to change things throughout a day. That's how the NBA works. But we have the best framework in the industry. And then as things become known, we've got Rich, we've got Jason, we've got you, we've got Josh, we've got so many sharp people that are putting in work on these minutes and on this data. This is the page that you need. So make sure you go to projections and go over to stats and you'll be all covered. But yeah, you've got stats that you can take a look at. You've got projections there for DraftKings, FanDuel. Everything's all in one place. It's so much easier than it was before.
And if you want to take stuff out, there's this columns section over here. You could just remove anything you don't want. So if you didn't want the fantasy points per minute, you could turn that off. If you don't want the minutes there, you could turn off whichever ones you do or don't want. So if it's too much information for you on the page, it's customizable to move some of the stuff off the page as well. All right, getting back to the Discord questions.
What tools? What absolute tools the Cleveland Cavaliers are?
They kind of told us he was playing, though.
I know, but it's just dumb. Like, they're just a dumb team. Like, I just do stuff right. Do stuff like a normal, whatever. They're going to be playing against like New Orleans and Micah Peavy today. It's whatever.
So this is also, I was going over this with Josh the other day when we were talking about people kind of aggrieved about the injury reports now being in 15-minute intervals. And people think like, oh, it's going to be harder to beat the books to injury news now because they got these injury reports being updated every 15 minutes versus every hour. It doesn't make a difference because they're just going to update it. They've known Darius Garland is playing the entire day, and they just left him questionable on the injury report. They're going to give you more frequent inaccurate updates. That's what we're getting. This is like another example of that. So
Yeah,
Darius Garland officially good to go.
The thing is that it starts earlier. I feel like the last couple days it started earlier than it normally does. Normally I'm like, all right, I'm going to sit around and wait. And I'm going to put together my game plan and kind of take advantage of the news I want to. Now it's just like, oh shit, I better be ready in 15-minute increments to some extent. But that is neither here nor there for a DFS show, which has a lock time, and we'll figure it out from there.
Let's see what we got here in Discord. We've got Qzona wants to know, any interest in Lonzo as a contrarian option? No, not for me, especially now that we just found that we are going to have Garland in.
I mean, isn't Lonzo out anyway?
I have not thought about Lonzo for the... you know what? I see there's a follow-up message. He said LaMelo. He left a follow-up. He said LaMelo, not Lonzo.
Can I tell you something that I think is going to happen, Greg? Can I tell you something?
Sure. Tell me something.
This might be the super secret LaMelo parlay unders. The thing that I'm the most sad about is that my drive to Iowa can't take place before this show. It has to take place after this show. I think LaMelo could rest in the second half. I really think it's live. So they rested him on a back-to-back a long time ago. They're playing Washington here today, and maybe he's healthier than the last time that we saw this back-to-back. But on the 28th, 29th, okay, he played 29 minutes, then played 22 minutes on the back-to-back in a win against Toronto and didn't touch the floor in the second half. They played him the entire first half and then rested him. I think single game parlaying together unders on LaMelo Ball is the very, very sharp thing to do today. I have zero interest in playing him in DFS, but I wanted to ask you if you had any kind of questions about limitations, because one, I'm shocked he's playing basketball today on a back-to-back. It's the first time that he would have played a back-to-back since that scenario happened, but I didn't know if you had noticed it, if it was something you flagged from a betting perspective, but there was nothing I could do to take advantage of it. I was going to make a post in the Discord about it because I'm like, man, if I could fire this right now, I totally would. And I might over on Onyx odds, but like, he played 22 minutes in a limited spot against Toronto in a competitive game. I think it's a really smart thing to do.
Could be. I don't think it wouldn't make a lot of sense to me if they were just like play the first half and sit the second half.
That's what they did though last time. They literally did that a month ago.
Yeah, I don't. It's possible. I don't think it's the most likely scenario.
Okay. That was the so I have a third prong. If you want me to talk about the third guy that I had questions about from a betting perspective today, and also from a DFS perspective. But like, who do you think starts for Indy today?
Who do I think starts for Indy? Let's see. Available players for the Pacers. We've not had an official starting lineup for them yet. They've been starting Thompson late. I see Nembhard, Thompson, Mather, and Siakam, J. Huff.
I think Jarris Walker could start over Ethan Thompson today. That was the other one where I might end up playing a lot of him come 7:30. And I was just curious if you ended up seeing that piece of news, how many minutes you might be looking at for him. But Jarris Walker closed yesterday against Boston despite playing less than 16 minutes, and he played almost the whole fourth quarter. He had like a little 2-3 minute stint in the middle of it. There were just certain things I flagged from yesterday because, yeah. So there you go. John Daly. Jarris, hopefully, because I tailed Lindy's bet. That was literally something that I wanted to bring up. I bet is over 3.5 rebounds, -106. I do think there's a chance that he ends up starting, but that's neither.
Could be. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason that Ethan Thompson has to start. I just kind of assume it will be him because he's been the guy who's been starting for them, but he's Ethan Thompson. There's no rule that says that he has to continue starting for the Pacers, and team's been dog shit. So I assume it's most likely going to be him. It doesn't have to be or anything like that, though.
Cool. By the way, it was further back for the back-to-back for the LaMelo Ball. Nope, I'm right. It was that exact same situation. They've done some weird stuff with guys in the second half where they've had starters that they don't exactly play full minutes. So wanted to at least point out that that's something Charlotte's done. Plus, Sexton back in today. Simpson, man, there's no reason LaMelo, this is the one spot I would not want to play him, even against Washington, which sounds insane to say because it's such a good matchup, but really don't want to deal with that.
Yeah. Long story short, I don't have interest in LaMelo as a contrarian option for today. And I'm currently running the it should be the final version of my lineups pre-lock, unless something really crazy goes down in these last 9 minutes here. But the next question that we have from Discord, it is from... Oh, a bunch of questions came in here. All right, so this one is from J-Rock. When playing the turbo or 2-game slate, is it better to use 2 or more uniques to get different? Every slate is different. I would pay attention to what it does to your average and min sim ROIs. If it means that all of a sudden you're playing a bunch of negatively sim ROI lineups, then you probably don't want to be going as high as 3. So 2 is going to be my best general response, but also the caveat being that not every slate is going to be built exactly the same there. J-Rock. TIE Fighter, KPJ or Keontae George on FanDuel. I think Keontae George. I'll see in a second because I just had my lineups finish. All right, who do I have more exposure to? I have more of... All right, Keontae George or KPJ. Boy, they're really, really similar looking. I'll lean towards KPJ, but both of them are good options. Do you have a preference between KPJ and Keontae George?
Keontae George, he's later. And that's the tiebreaker.
That's fair. It's a fair way to look at it. We've also got from here, JEW, locks for low-owned pivot. Okay. Locks for low-owned pivots for DK single entry is fading Jaylen the easy move for... I wouldn't say it's easy to fade Jaylen Johnson, but if I'm going to get away from 3 of these super chalk pieces... So we'll make sure the ownership's refreshed on the screen. Here's what we have for our final ownerships. We've got 3 really chalk players: Diabate, Kolik, Jaylen Johnson. If I'm going to get off of one of those 3 guys, Jaylen Johnson's the answer.
Yeah, it's definitely Jaylen Johnson out of those 3 because I have 100% Tyler Kolik. I have 90% Diabate right now in 40 lineups, or 92%. There we go.
Yeah. And then we went over this at the top. My answer hasn't changed on this. If I'm going to be pivoting off of Jaylen Johnson, I think Cat looks really solid.
Yep. Agreed.
All right. My lineups are looking pretty good. Ready to upload these. Let's see what we've got here for questions. We've got Win says Cleveland is implied for 129 fantasy points. Is it okay to play Garland and Mitchell together? I don't have an issue with the 2 of them together from a correlation standpoint. They're just not guys I have single digit exposure to both of them, so I'm not prioritizing them today.
No, not prioritizing either. I will say one guy I'm prioritizing that nobody else is Nikola Jokic. I have 45% of him in my top 150. I'm going to be trimming that down to 40 here before the end of the show, 41 technically, but Nikola Jokic, just somebody we haven't said his name yet. Whenever there's like this cheap 3,300, 3,100 type value that we've got at small forward, just rotate around, I'm going to get to more Jokic than the field.
Just a few minutes left to go in the show. Want to remind you guys that we do have our holiday sale live on the site. 20% off any of our DFS packages with the promo code GIFT. Just sign up using the link down below in the YouTube description box when you're checking out where it says promo code. Just enter GIFT in all capital letters and it'll apply that discount. So this could be good for all access package. It could be good for a weekly package, a monthly package, NBA, NFL, whatever it is that you're looking to sign up for. 20% off with that promo code GIFT. This deal is going to be expiring on Sunday, so take advantage of it now before the holidays come and go. And then also another thing to like about signing up for it now, Eric, we've got a ton of good slates coming up. Obviously, we've got the big NBA slate today, but then Thursday, you've got the Christmas NBA and NFL slates. Then Saturday, there's an NFL slate. Sunday, there's obviously an NFL slate. Monday, so you got a ton of NFL slates coming up in addition to our regular daily NBA slate. So good time to take advantage of the promo offer. We've got Win wants to know Reeves or LeBron for today. Do you prefer Reeves or LeBron? I prefer LeBron.
Let me double check here. I have 12% LeBron. That's 3 of 40. I have Reeves. I have the exact same amount of both.
LeBron over Reeves for
I would agree, though. Yeah, I would agree.
Truffle's thoughts on Trae Young as a pivot off of Jaylen Johnson. Makes sense to me. I like where your head is out. I slightly prefer getting to Okongwu if I'm trying to get off of Jaylen Johnson, but I'm overweight to Trae Young as well. So that's another very, very viable option.
It's a ridiculous game environment. Not a lot would surprise me if somebody just went completely nuclear in it. Thing is that on a huge slate like this, there's going to be a lot of big scores in a lot of different spots. So like trying to key in on just one guy, one thing, like I know we do Nuke in the night, but like this is truly just trying to make the best possible lineups I can and not worrying too much. Like Trae Young's fine, and anybody in that game environment is pretty fine.
Then we've got Qzona wants to know best forward option under $5,500. So presumably he is trying to find somebody to play with $5,500 in his forward spot for the last remaining piece. Let's see, 5,500 at forward. That will be for me.
He's Bailey.
It's a shitty price range.
Sure is.
I'm gonna say
Najee Marshall. Najee Marshall. If you end up getting all the Dallas guys out, that would actually be a legitimately good play.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mamu Kvalishvili at 5,500. But yeah, if we do end up, who also is, let's see, what time does that game start? That game starts at 7:30, so not right at the top of the slate, but it is at 7:30. But you do have the Dallas game locks at 8:30 minutes after that, so presumably we will have by then the Dallas injury updates. So for now, I'm going to say Mamu Kvalishvili, but I do think the Najee Marshall, to Eric's standpoint, I'm just trusting Eric that the price point fits there because I don't know what it is off the top of my head. But yeah, I think that makes some sense. The Nature Boy final ownership that I have for Jaylen Johnson, I have him in half my lineups. So a good amount, but a little bit underweight what we have him projected for.
Agreed. Yeah, he's fine.
And that does it for questions from Discord. Let's see if there was any super chats that came in here at the end that we have to hit on. If not, Eric, then, we do have one here from Michael. Michael here wants to know FanDuel, LeBron, and Mikal Bridges, or Flag and Hart. That is going to be LeBron and Bridges for me. I like all four of those players, though.
I do too, and I would say it would be the second one if I knew PJ Washington was sitting. Otherwise, LeBron and Mikal Bridges, if the slate started right now with the information we know.
But all four of those guys, good options. I don't think you're going wrong by making either.
I really like Cooper Flag for tournaments today. He's going to be the lowest owned out of that group. So like Cooper Flag, I like for tournaments a ton.
Also want to remind you guys that for tomorrow, there isn't going to be NBA Live Before Lock because there are no basketball games for today. But if you are looking for betting action, go check out Tails. Download the Tails app or just go to tails.bet. Follow myself, Eric. But the real key guy for you to follow tomorrow, it is going to be Ben Raza, who I don't know. I don't know what he could be betting on, like women's D-League ping pong or something. It's going to, whatever it is, I'm going to get a notification for something to be like, I cannot believe that Ben Raza, I'm going to have two reactions. My first one is going to be, I cannot believe Ben Raza is betting this. And then my second response is going to be, where can I find this to bet on it as well? So go make sure to download the Tails app and follow Ben Raza if you're looking for weird bets for tomorrow when there aren't going to be NBA or NFL going on. Just about a minute left to go until we hit lock, Eric. Any final thoughts for the people on tonight's slate before we close out the show?
Yeah, a couple of things. Obviously, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. Greg and I are both going to be on that. He'll be on the NBA side. I'm going to be on the NFL side. No matter who you are, no matter what you celebrate, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. We just want you guys to be able to just continue to do what you love to do. We love to play DFS. Just support us. Hit that like button. Give us an opportunity to be able to do this every single day for you. And speaking of, check out the Tails app. Tails.bet. That is the one super easy thing you can do to both help us and to be able to make some money in the process. Because over any long-term sample size, if you're tailing Greg, if you're tailing myself, if you're tailing a lot of the sharp people you know and love on these shows, you're in good hands over on the Tails app. So check that out. Merry Christmas. See you guys soon.
Absolutely. If you guys have not done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can use that promo code GIFT to get 20% off any of our DFS packages. I will be doing an NFL show tomorrow, building out some lineups for the Christmas slate. So if you guys do want to check that out, come and hang out. But I get it. It's Christmas Eve. There's a chance that nobody shows up for the show. That's okay. I'm not going to be doing anything. And what I want to be doing is hanging out with you guys. That's what I'll be doing tomorrow. So I'll see you there. Maybe if you're busy, I won't hold it against you. Later, guys.